Hello world, this is Stefan of Lendrigan Games, and this is a tutorial for how to click somewhere and have your character move there. Chances are you come here because you figured out that it is a bizarrely Herculean task. So if you've ever thought to yourself, I'm not making a 2D platformer with physics, I just want my character to move around the map like Diablo, why is it so hard? Then this video is for you. Also, along the way, I'll be doing a sort of tangential refresher course on little niggles that very quickly become not tangential. So, starting off, meet the niggles. We call this one sorting layers. Edit layers. Add new layer, which we'll call the ground. Add new layer, which we'll call the people. And going to, okay, so full disclosure, I did steal these assets from a hyper-intelligent baby, but as long as he can't talk, he can't sue, so I should be good for another year or so. Anyway, the first reflex is always to go to the layer button up at the top because it's up at the top. But no, the sprite layer. Ground, sprite layer, people. As you can see, this guy's been here all along, but I've been swearing at my computer for the past half hour, and now you know why. So, now that we have him here, oh yeah, another thing before we go, just I've added the box colliders all around, and I've added a box collider where this guy's feet would be. You can figure out how to do that well enough. So now we go into how do you make this guy move? All right. So we start off with public float speedX equals 100 float. Now I got this from the player controller tutorial. Dang it. Got distracted. Float speed Y. He did only one speed, but I'm doing X and Y speeds just in case you want to do, say, a beat 'em up where moving up and down doesn't go quite as quickly as moving left to right. And public Rigidbody2D. Oops. Rigidbody2D. rb. Now you need a Rigidbody2D. Translate.transform it doesn't work as well as you would hope. Rigid body. Why is it body to D close period? The main reason that translate.transform doesn't work is because it doesn't move it doesn't move the object so much as it teleports the object, which is fine for open spaces, which is why translate.transform is perfectly fine with the camera. But once you try to have your character collide with the wall, well, cue the Archer memes where he asks if you want clipping issues. All right, so float move x equals input dot get axis horizontal period. I keep saying period to remind myself to punctuate the end of the lines. If you're as inexperienced as I am with this, then Satan is in the details, and he is actively trying to kill you. Get axis vertical, period. Oop, what the? Oh. Like I said, the details are actively trying to kill you. The velocity, the rigid body velocity equals new vector 2. Move x times speed x, move y times speed y, period. And have I misspelt anything? Apparently I did. Oh, right. I forgot the empty parentheses. And there you go. All right. So now that I've corrected my own screw up, let's see how this goes. As soon as it boots up. All right, I'm back. And it turns out I do in fact have to manually add a Rigidbody2D. So let's try this again. Okay. Maybe I did the speed a little too much on that one. Okay, back to 10F and 10F like the guy had originally said. All right, so now we change the Rigidbody2D around, such as taking out the gravity scale. Yeah. Oh. Problems with editing. Okay, so. Oh yeah, and now for the next niggle. And we have to constrain freeze rotation. So now he isn't sliding along the side. And you can see up there why I've done just the collider for his feet. Gives it more of a 3D feel. All right, so now that we have the keyboard part set up, translating that to a mouse control shouldn't be as hard. That's a can of spring-loaded worms right there. All right, so let's start with what is our first problem. Our first problem is that the coordinates for the game are in the center of the screen, which is where this camera is, but the coordinates for the mouse are down here at the corner. So anytime, let's say I click at, say, like 5, -5. I'm not telling the game object -5. I'm telling the game object 3020. So no matter where I click, he's moving all the way up to the top right corner. All right. When I tried resolving that by just mathematically using an algorithm to tell the program that wherever the mouse is clicked, if the mouse clicks here, it's 0, 0, just dragging its axis all the way over here. In which case I came up to the second problem, which is the mouse doesn't click on coordinates, it clicks on pixels. So, say I go back to like 5.5, -5.5. I'm not clicking on 5.5, -5.5. I'm clicking on pixel 55, -55. And this is and the exact numbers are off, but you get the general point. And so, I really have to thank. All right. A very large thank you to whoever is username Guarak on the Unity forums for this. All right, before we get to that though, we're going to have to throw in a few new vector tubes, such as public vector2 destination. Which is where you're going. And then public vector2 place. Because, as the great Buckaroo Banzai said, wherever you go, there you are. And then there's public vector2 journey, which is the path that the object is using to get from where he's going to where he wants to be, or where you want him to be, master. All right, so we'll start. We'll give it a place equals rb.transform.position, period. And we delete these because we're not using keyboard controls anymore. Instead, if Input.GetMouseButtonDown, mouse button down, 0, which is the numerical name for the left mouse button. And here's where I thank Guarak. Yeah, and I misspelled that. Equals Camera.main.ScreenToWorldPoint. So we're telling, so instead, this cuts through both problems. It's telling you Input.mousePosition. This tells you that this is saying that the mouse has clicked on a position within the game world. And my life got so much easier after that. So now, normally it's like I'd love to do journey equals the difference between the destination and the place. However, vector 2s and 3s are not numbers in and of themselves. They're matrices. They are grids of numbers. So you can't just add and subtract matrices. Instead, you have to add and subtract numbers within the matrices and recreate the matrix from that. So, destination.x minus place.x, period. So basically, the journey is the difference between where we want to be and where we are. Journey.y, destination.y minus place.y. All right. rb.velocity equals new vector 2 journey.x times speed.x journey.y times speed. Mess that up. SpeedX. And have I messed up anything horribly here? Oh, right. Period. Close the parentheses. Have I messed up anything else? Oh. Yes. Journey.y. Anything. Oh. What? Sometimes the autocorrect really bugs me. Yes, I want journey.x. Okay. Now we're good to go. All right. I figured out what I did wrong. First off, let's make this up a bit. And also we remove the float because we're just changing this to Time.deltaTime. Just to separate it from the frame rate. Time. And also, we add a late update, which is at the end of the frame. And we tell us that new status update on where we are. Have I messed up anything royally? No, I haven't. Let's try this again. Don't know why it's moving at the beginning, but oh well. And we do have a bit of a problem where the further away you click, the faster it gets there. Fortunately, I can remember off the top of my head the solution to that problem. After searching out how to make the magnitude 1 normalize z.x and journey.normalized normalized.y. And we'll just bring this speed up. And have I messed up anything else? No, good to go. Oh, that's right. Don't know how to update that automatically, but now it's going. And only one last question remains. Oh, wow. Oh, that's right. Oh. It never stops telling it to go there. Now let's try this. Don't remember that problem. Oh, right. It was because I hadn't saved it. So this should be the problem you're experiencing about now, which is that it doesn't stop. So now we go back to the C#, and we go into the late update. So actually, we'll be adding a new vector 2 to gap, which is how much of the journey is left for it to travel. So gap.x equals, because we're not measuring coordinates per se, we're going with absolute values. So math f dot absolute. Destination.x minus math f dot absolute place dot x. Period. Gap dot y equals math f dot abs destination.y minus math f dot absolute place.y. Period. All right, so if we'll give it a margin for error of 0.5. It's better to do an absolute margin for error, I found, rather than if it's 90% of the way there, because when you go with coordinate 0.0, 90% of the way there is too close for it to measure. It's too close for the numbers to be within 90% of each other. Math dot. Okay. math.gap.x and .5 less than is greater than mathf.absolute gap.y. Okay. Then rb.velocity. Yeah. Wait, what? All right. Ignore that. Ignore that drop-down menu. 0, 0. Not shift 0. Okay. Now, have I screwed anything? All right. What? All right. There. Oh. New vector 2, 0, 0. All right. Now we save. All right, so 0.5 may be a bit too large of a gap. So 0.05. Let's see how that goes. And hooray, I think. Wait a minute. Huh. I suspect this means or then? All right, I kind of give up on that. You know what, just... They recommend embedding statements anyway. So let's just try that. All right, so I believe that meant or instead of and. That's my bad. And as you can see, we finally have it. You can click somewhere and your guy moves there. You're welcome, and pathfinding is your own issue from here out. Goodbye.